see if we can make it a little bit bigger. Okay, so let's just go through this very quickly and then we can get started on what we actually want to talk about today, which is logs. So a savings account is opened with an initial deposit of 5,500 Rand. 9 months later, a second deposit of 4,200 Rand is made into the account. 6 months after the second deposit, an amount of 3,800 Rand is withdrawn from the account. Calculate the balance at the end of 2 years if the interest rate is 7.8% per annum compounded monthly. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do is you need to decide what formula you're going to use. All right, so in this case, it's going to be what? What formula are we using? It's got to be compound interest. Okay, so what they're asking us to do is they're asking us to calculate the value of A exactly. Once all these amounts of money have either been deposited and withdrawn, etc., etc. All right, so the initial deposit of 5,500 Rand, so that's plus 5,500 at T0. Then 9 months later, so now you need to ask yourself, okay, 9 months is how much of a year? 9 months, so it's 9 out of 12. It's going to be what of a year? 3/4. So at T, 3/4, a second deposit of 4,200 Rand is made. All right, 6 months after the second deposit, an amount of 3,800 Rand is withdrawn. Okay, so what this means is that 9 months into the first year, they deposited the 4,200 Rand. Then 6 months later, so 6 months after that, so how many months into the new year was the money withdrawn? Can anybody tell me? So 6 months into the next year, the money was withdrawn. So now if you had to add 3 months to 9, you'd get to T1, wouldn't you? Okay, that would be the end of the year. So it's 3 months into the next year. All right. So in other words, it's 3 out of 12 months of the next year. Okay, so in the third month, that would be 1/4 of the way into the year. Okay, so this is at T, 1 1/4. What's happening here? 3,800 Rand is being withdrawn. Okay, calculate the balance at the end of 2 years if the interest rate doesn't change. Okay, it's going to be the same from start to finish. Let's just put it in here as well. From start to finish, the interest rate is 0,078 and it's compounded monthly. So we mustn't forget to divide it by 12. Okay, so let's go, now that we've written down our timeline, let's now write down how we're going to calculate this. All right, so A equals, so 5,500 Rand goes into the account at the beginning. It earns interest at an interest rate of 0,078 over 12. And now remember here, we have to multiply this by 12. Okay, so that money is going to be in the account for 2 years. Okay, so it's going to be 12 times 2. Plus 4,200 Rand goes in, earns interest at the same interest rate. So 0,078 over 12. Let me just move my page over a bit here. We don't have to go too much further. And then here, we have to multiply how long the money is going to be in the account for. All right. So this money was deposited 3/4 of the way through the first year. So it will be in the account for 1 year and a quarter. Does that make sense to everybody? So 1 1/4 years is the duration of time that that money is going to be in the account. Then what we would have to do is subtract the money that was being withdrawn. So 3,800 Rand over 12. And now how long would that money not be in the account for? It would not be in the account for 3/4 of a year. Okay, so that's the amount of interest that they have lost. Okay, so that's how you would have done it, Tsepiso. Sometimes your calculator, or not sometimes, often your calculator can't deal with you putting so many terms in. So you might need to like put in a term and then press the equals button and then put in another term and press the equals button or whatever the case is. Okay. All right, so there was a question here. Leoborna, which part did you not understand? They told us that 3,800 Rand was withdrawn. So it's here, it's part of the question. There. Okay, so when money is deposited into the account, that would be seen as a plus. But because the money is being taken out of the account, the person is losing that money and they're losing the interest as well that they would have earned. Okay, Tsepiso, and then you slap that into your calculator and you should get the answer that's highlighted in yellow over there. Okay, did you get it right, Tsepiso? Oh, okay, all right. Okay, no problem. Well, if there aren't any further questions about that, then what I'm going to do, awesome, no problem, it's a pleasure, is I'm going to go and get started. I think it was, I don't know if it was you, Tsepiso, but somebody actually already answered the question that I had asked at the beginning of this lesson. There we go. And that was the question that I had asked you guys, is how would we solve this equation? So this should be something that's really quite simple for us by the time we get to matric. So the idea is when we are solving for a variable that is our exponent, what we want to try and do every single time, if possible, is we want to try and write the number that we have been given using the base. So in other words, in this case over here, we have been given base 3. So we want to try and write 9 with base 3. And then what we do is we say, okay, now that we have equated the bases, we can equate the exponents. All right, so the idea is to equate bases, and therefore you can equate your exponents. Right, and we're all happy and smiling, and we say, good stuff, because now x is going to be equal to 2. Lovely. So what happens in a situation, let me just move this down. What happens in a situation like this, where they ask us to solve, and it's 2 to the power of x, and it equals 7? What do we do in a situation like this? Because now 7 cannot be written as base 2. This is our problem. 7 cannot be written as base 2. Absolutely. Oh, I see there. Yes. Good, guys. Nice. 100%. So this is why we need logs. Okay, so logs were invented by, I think he was a Scottish mathematician. And what he discovered is that if we use logs, we can make the value that we are trying to solve for, the exponent, the subject of the formula. Okay, and it goes like this, and you need to learn this off by heart. So the exponent, in this case, x, is equal to log base is your 2, and then you're going to put in your 7. Okay, now the button that you need to press on your calculator to be able to do this, I know on my Casio it is the button in the top sort of right hand corner below my on button. It looks like this matrix. It goes log, and then the base one is kind of colored in, and then there's another empty block like that. Does everybody know where the log button is? All right, and then what you can do is awesome. So then what we're going to do is we're going to press the log button on our calculators. So everybody press your log button. Okay, you're going to pop in your base 2. Nice stuff. And then go across and pop in your 7 and press equals. Okay, and there you will see we can get x is equal to fabulously to 100%. So 2,81 is the right answer. 2,8, just 2 decimal places. Good job. Okay, so Namhla. Okay, so every time they tell us. Namhla, yes, if you are making a withdrawal, okay, using a timeline, then yes, you would subtract. Okay, and then you would also subtract, it would have to be the amount that was subtracted multiplied by the bracket, because the bracket is the interest that the person is losing after the money's come out. Sorry, it's still an old question there. Okay, does that make sense to everybody? Okay, so learning how to use the calculator for this really doesn't have to be a terrible challenge, as long as you know where this log button is located on your calculator. Okay, so something else I just want to write for you. Make sure that you learn this off by heart so that you are able to use this in the future. So in other words, your unknown, okay, whatever you are solving for, okay, whether it's A or whatever the case is, let's call it X, and this is equal to log your base, so the base of your exponent. So in other words, this number over here, and then your number. Okay, so make sure you learn that off by heart, matrix, because that is not on your formula sheet. Okay, and you're going to need it for inverse functions as well. Okay, if they ask you questions about the logarithmic function. Okay, good stuff. So let's jump into our first example. So here we have a guy called Matthew, and he deposits 4,000 Rand into a savings account, paying 10% per annum compounded annually. How long will it take the savings to double? So when we read this question, we can see that it's a question about time, okay? Even though there's not an explicit instruction to use logs to calculate n, that's what they mean. Okay, so if you are working in financial maths and you see something that says how long, or the number of payments, the time, whatever the case is, then you know that's an instruction that you need to use logs. All right, let's just see what you guys are saying in the chat. Oh, I see there's a couple of questions here. Okay. Yes, Apalele, you're allowed to use logs and number patterns as well if you want to. Absolutely. So once you've learned how to do it, you can use it anywhere that you might need to. It's no problem at all. Okay, so let me just run through it one more time, because I think there was somebody who was a little bit confused. Let's make something else up. All right, so I'm going to show you again how we use logs just very quickly. All right. So if I had to solve an equation, and let's pretend my equation was 5 to the x equals 79, for the want of anything, all right? What I'm going to do, all right, is I'm going to use these numbers in the following way, all right? So the 5 is my base. The x is my exponent. That's what I'm solving for. The 79 is my number. All right, so I write that my exponent is equal to the log of the base 79. Okay, and that's literally how you put it into your calculator. So you're going to press log, pop in the 5, the base, scroll across, put in the 79 and press equals. And that is your decimal, well, your exponent to however many decimal places you choose. Okay, so in this case, x is going to be equal to 2,71. Okay, and that makes sense to us because 5 squared is 25, isn't it? And 5 to the power of 3 is 125. So 79 is somewhere in between these two. It's between 25 and 125. So it makes sense to us that it would be at around 2.7 because obviously it is a little bit closer to 125 than it is to 25. Okay, so that's a really 100%, guys. Well done. Yes, yes, look at all those lovely answers. Thank you, everybody. Perfect. Good job, good job, good job. Okay, so let's look at it in context here. All right, so Matthew deposits this 4,000 Rand in his savings account, 10% per annum, compounded annually. How long is it going to take for his savings to double? All right, so that means that if he starts off with 4,000 Rand, he needs to end off with how much money, Matrix? Because his savings are going to double. Exactly. Exactly, Tippy. So he's got to end off with 8,000 Rand. What is his interest rate? 10% per annum compounded annually. So that's 0,10. All right. This is compound interest. Okay, so we're going to write that A, so A equals P 1 plus I to the N. So that means that, sorry, I did this wrong. I beg your pardon. Sorry. Your P will be 4. Sorry, silly me. Because that's obviously what you were starting with, isn't it? Okay, so your P is what he has in the beginning, A is what he has in the end. Okay, so he will get 8,000 Rand if he deposits 4,000 Rand at an interest rate of 0,10 to the power of N. Okay, so what is inside the bracket is your base. That's like the 5 and the 3 and the 2 up here. That's your base. So what is inside the bracket is your base. We need to isolate the base. Okay, so what we've got to do now is divide both sides by to isolate the base, I've got to divide both sides by how much, guys? Exactly. Divide both sides by 4,000. So now we have 8,000 over 4,000 is equal to, and if I add 1 to 0,10, I'm going to get 1,1 on to the power of n. 8,000 divided by 4,000 is 2. So essentially what I've got here is I've got 2 is equal to 1,1 to the n. All right, so I can see what my base is. I can see what my number is. I'm now ready to use logs. Okay, so you must write this because they need to be able to give you a mark on this line. So you must write n equals log base number. Okay, and then pop that into your calculator. And you can tell me what you guys get as an answer. Let's have a look. Yes, that's lovely. Well done. Well done, everybody. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay, so n is equal to 7,27. What unit is this? Is it months? Is it years? What are we dealing with here? Yes, good answers, everybody. Exactly. Yeah, quite right, guys. Yes, good. Okay, so that's years. Okay, so 7,27 years. Now, if they asked you to write that in terms of years and months, This is what you have to do, okay? So you need to work with the decimal, and you need to work out how much of the year that decimal represents, because obviously the 7 in the units column means 7 years. So what we can do is we can actually leave our answer on the calculator, and what you're going to do is you're going to subtract 7 so that you just have the decimal. And then after you've got your decimal, so in other words, we've now gone 7,27 minus 7. And now we should all be looking at a decimal 0,27254,089, ... Okay, you take that number and you are going to multiply it by 12. Okay, because there are 12 months in a year. Okay, and if you take 0,27 and blah, 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 and you times it by 12, you get 3,3. Okay, so it would basically be 7 years and 3 months. Okay, you normally don't have to do that. You normally can just leave your answer as 7,27 years, but I just wanted to show you that so that you know, yes, you times 12 on the decimal. Okay, Enam, let's see if we can help you. Lesedi, the reason why A is 8,000 is because he's deposited 4,000 Rand and it's going to grow. It's going to stay in the account and it's going to double. It's going to grow into 8,000. Okay, so because it's compound interest, my A or our A value has to be bigger than our P. Okay. There we go. Lovely, lovely, lovely answers. Okay. Yes, that's right. Neosibeko, the base is 1,1 and the number is 2. Good job. Okay, how's everybody feeling at this point? Yes, correct, Pabalo, because the rate is once a year. So you're essentially dividing by 1. So there's no point in dividing, okay, by 1, because it's not going to change your number. Yeah. Oh, good. That's nice to see all those thumbs up. Good. Cool beans. Nice. Nice, everyone. Okay. So now that I have explained, hang on a second, I wonder if I should give you guys... Okay, let's get you guys to do this one, and then we'll go back and we'll look at reducing balance. Okay, so you're going to try this one. Again, it's compound interest. All right, so Simone opens an account at a local clothing store. She spends 5,000 Rand. The interest rate charged 24% per annum compounded monthly. How long will it take her to owe 8,000 Rand if she makes no prior repayments on the account? Let's try that one. Oh, good. I'm going to see all those thumbs ups. Nice. Okay, let's try this one and let's see how you guys go. And then when you've got an answer, you can pop it in the chat. Okay, good stuff. Cool. L'Oreal, you got... No, n can't be equal to 0, Neosibeko. Remember, n is what we're trying to calculate. okay, because we want to know how long it's going to take her to owe them 8,000 Rand. Okay. All right, so that's lovely. So I see there's some answers coming in. That's really great. Thank you. Okay, so I see there's a couple of different answers here. Someone said 1 year and 8 months. Someone said 2 years or 24 months. Okay, so Tamia, you said 2,18. Okay, so because this is compounded monthly, you're quite right, those of you that were working this out to be in months, but whether you report your answer in months or years, oh, no, Namhla, you definitely should not be getting a negative answer for time. Okay, so let's just go through it and let's just see how we set it out. Okay, so again, our A value in this case is going to be 8,000. Our P value is going to be 5,000. Our interest rate is 24% per annum compounded monthly. So that's 0,24 divided by 12. Okay, and because they're asking us to calculate N, we need to use logs. All right, so we're going to write A equals P 1 plus I to the power of N. A is 8,000. P is 5,000. 1 plus 0,24 over 12. Okay, so remember what we divide I by, we have to multiply N by. So you've got to remember to write 12N up here. Okay, did you remember to do that, matrix? And now again, we are going to have to isolate the base. Okay, which means we've got to divide both sides by 5,000. So that gives us 8,000 over 5,000 is. And then what we can do is we can work out what the value of our base is. It's going to be 1 plus 0.24 over 12. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting a base of 51 over 50. Or if you want to work with it as a decimal, that's also fine. Just don't, whatever you do, don't round off. Okay, you've got to keep all your decimals. Okay, so it's going to be 1,02 to the power of N. Okay, Riabulwe, I see you've raised your hand. You're more than welcome to go ahead and ask. Riabulwe, do you want to ask a question? Yes. So Palesa, yeah, the power is 12N. Oh, sorry. Oh, I see. Sorry. I see where you were saying. Okay. Yes. Sorry. I left off the 12, didn't I? Okay. That was a bit silly of me. All right. So now we're ready to use our logs. So 12N equals log. There's our base. And then our number in this case would be 8 over 5. Okay. So when we put that into the calculator, I'll just put that in as well. Okay, I don't know about you guys, but I am getting an answer of 23,734,4 okay, which I'm not going to round off. Okay, and now I have to divide that by 12. Okay, so yes, N is indeed equal to 1,98. Right. So that would be years, 1,98 years. Okay, does that make sense to everybody? That's it. Lovely, Namhla. And then all you have to do is remember to divide it by 12. Okay. Okay, Ntebogang, sorry if I pronounced it incorrectly. Do you want to ask a question? Go for it.
Ma'am, when you calculate the months, you get 11,7. So I don't know, do you round it off, then it becomes 12 months, or it's still 11 then?
I don't understand where you're saying you're getting 11 months from. Can you explain that to me?
From the 1,98, then you minus the 1, multiply by 12.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay, all right. So then you, of course, you would minus the 1, and then you would times that by 12, and then, yeah, so it would be 1 year and 11 months.
So even though it's 11,7, then you don't round it off?
Do you know what? I think at this stage, I think if you said 11 years, oh, sorry, 1 year and 11 months, or yeah, I think they would have to accept either, to be honest with you, because it's so close to 2 years, isn't it? That's why I think it's probably better for us just to leave our answer like that.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right. I'm with you now. I understand what you were saying. Okay. Okay. So Apelele, you're saying, why should we use 12N? All right. So this goes back to what we were discussing in our first lessons together, where the interest rate can be compounded more frequently than once a year. So I don't know if you remember, but when we had spoken about, for example, if an interest rate is compounded quarterly, then what we would need to do is divide the interest rate by 4 and multiply the exponent by 4. So that's why here we've got to multiply n by 12, okay, because the interest in this case is percentage per annum, but it's compounded monthly. Okay, does that make sense to you? Yes, because we're working with compound interest. That's right. Why do you want to divide the final answer by 100? Namhla, why do you want to divide it by 100? Can you explain that to me? Pleasure, Pelele. Oh, yeah. Okay, so I understand now. So Namhla, we're not calculating the interest rate. We're calculating the number of years, the amount of time that it's going to take this lady to owe 8,000 Rand on her account. Okay, we're not calculating interest rate. I mean, they can get you to calculate interest rates. Oh gosh. Sorry, my cat's just got in again. Just give me 1 second. Sorry. Get out. Hey. Take it and get out. So Umpile, no, it's not always going to be, but yes. So monthly will always be 12, yes. And if it's quarterly, it will be divided by 4 and then times by 4. And if it's half yearly, then it would be divide by 2 and then times by 2. Well, if we, I suppose the answer could be 2. It's very close to 2. But Neo, we always round our answers to 2 decimal places, don't we? So it's more correct for you to write it as 1,98 than as 2. You always round off to 2 decimal places, L'Oreal. Always, always, always in high school maths. Okay, so semi-annually is 2, that's correct. sure. I'll go back up. There it was. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I see there's still a couple of questions. So what I wanted to do is just go on to another example with you guys. And that's this one over here, if that's okay, if we're ready to move on. Is that all right with everybody? If we move on now. Okay. So a motor car costing 200,000 Rand depreciated at a rate of 8% per annum on the reducing balance method. Calculate how long it took for the car to depreciate to a value of 90,000 Rand under these conditions. Okay, so now, okay, once we've read the question, the next thing that we need to say to ourselves, all right, is what formula are we going to use? Okay, so what formula do we use in the case of this question? Can anybody tell me?
Ma'am?
Yes, Cassandra.
Is it the formula of A is equals to P bracket 1 minus I to the power of N?
It certainly is, Cassandra. You are a star. Well done. Perfect. Good job. Okay, so that is the reducing balance formula. All right. And they love to ask questions using this formula and calculating the value of N in your exams. Okay, so very good. You've recognized that. That's wonderful. Well done. Now let's figure out where everything goes. All right. So the car originally cost 200,000. But by the time it's depreciated, it's now worth only 90. So what's going to go on the left-hand side by the A? What is the A value in this case, guys?
90,000.
It is, Cabello, quite right. Okay, it becomes 90,000 when it was originally 200,000. Okay, 1 minus, and our interest rate in this case is 8%. Be careful, 0,08. All right, now, because it's reducing balance, it's compounded once a year always. Okay, it's not compounded more frequently than that. Otherwise, the things that we buy would be worth nothing very quickly. All right, so thank goodness they don't depreciate on a compounded base. Well, it is compound depreciation, but it's not compounded more than once a year. Okay, so now to the power of N. All right, so again, what is inside the bracket represents our base. Okay, so we have to isolate the base. That means we've got to divide both sides by 200,000. So we've got our 90,000. We want to divide that by 200,000. And it's going to be equal to, and if we take 0.08 away from 1, it means that we're going to end up with an answer of 0.92 as our base. Okay, so the other thing that we can do here is we can simplify the 90,000 over the 200,000. Let's see what we get when we do that. Do you get 9 over 20? You can also write that as a decimal if you want to. You can write that as 0,45. So that's our number in this case. Is everybody, let's just see what's going on in the chat. There we go. Nice. Yeah.
9,6.
Yes, there we go. Perfect. Okay. And then again, we're going to go log, pop in our base, pop in our number, and there we go. Okay. So N is equal to 9,58. So 58 years. Okay, is everybody happy with that? Is that making sense? Good. Oh, yes, you're all getting that same answer. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Okay, so your Lisa, the 0.92 is 1 minus 0.08. It's the value of what's inside the bracket. Okay. It's the value of what's inside the bracket. Cool beans. Okay. All right. So now, let me just get rid of that one. Let's move that down there. All right. You guys are going to try this question. Okay. So the computers in a small business are originally worth 70,000 Rand. They're then sold for 30,000 Rand. Calculate how long it took the computers to depreciate to 30,000 Rand if the rate of depreciation was reducing balance depreciation. So in this case here, for number A, you guys are going to use, I'm just going to write the formula here for you, although I think you do know it by now. So this is going to be A equals P 1 minus I to the N. And then here, we're not going to worry about that because we don't have to use logs. So don't worry about question B. Okay, there we go. Off you go. Sure, you guys are quick, hey? Oopsie. Okay, and then I'm going to leave that as 3/7 because it's easier to write that than it is to write out the decimal in full. Okay, cool. Let's have a look. So all of you are popping answers in there, which is really positive to see that. I hope I'm going to get the same answer as all of you. And I do. Okay, there we go. Excellent. So if you got N is equal to 6,63 to, sorry, telling me. Hang on a second. 6,63. Okay, yes. All right, let's see what you guys have popped into the chat. Yes, there we go. Oh, and some of you have even worked it out in months. Very nice. Okay, Andiswa, I would love to see what you're pressing on your calculator so that I could understand how to help you. Yes, I did round off to 2 decimal places, Neo Sebeko. See, that's why it's 6,63. Okay, to 2 decimal places. Get a plastic bag. Okay. I'm getting 6,628142952. Okay. Nelisa, I don't know if you managed to work that one out. Are you getting the same answer as the rest? Okay. All right. Cool.
Yeah, I got the same answer.
Okay, lovely. All right. So you can see matrix. You can work out. So you can use logs to calculate an N in compound interest, in reducing balance, and you could even use it in future value or in present value as well. So they could ask you to calculate in either of those two formulae as well. Okay, which we will have a chance to look at as we progress further into this course. Okay, so how's everybody feeling right now? We feeling positive? Do we feel like we've made some progress? Oh, I see there's a question up. Who's got a hand in the air? Oh, who was it, Nelisa?
Oh, double hand.
Okay, do you want to ask a question?
Ma'am, I was trying to help Andisa, but she says she understands now.
Oh, okay. All right, no problem.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, that's really nice of you to help her. Oh, thank you, guys. That's really nice to see your thumbs ups and your positive feelings about all of this. Good, good, good. I hope that it stays that way. All right. So now what I want to do for the last few minutes that we are together is I want to show you these questions, and I took these straight out of end of year papers. So this is the kind of thing that you would be expected to be able to answer. So let's work on these three questions for the remainder of the lesson. So in the first one, 8.1, it says a farmer bought a tractor for 980,000 Rand. The value of the tractor depreciates annually at a rate of 9.2% per annum on the reducing balance method. Calculate the book value of the tractor after 7 years. And then it asks us, how many years will it take for an amount of 75,000 to accrue to this in an account earning that? All right, so just let's go back to the first question. All right, this is a combination of everything that we have done up to this point. Okay, so in question 8.1, you're going to need to go back and do something that we had done in a previous lesson. All right, and I'm going to write the formula here for you because it says reducing balance. So now hopefully all of us are like, yes, absolutely. Reducing balance means we use A equals P 1 minus I to the N. Okay, now remember in the first question, they are asking for the book value of the tractor. Okay, so let's do that. And if you are finished 8.1, you're welcome to start on 8.2. And then we will mark it before you guys go. Okay, so a lot of you seem to be getting the same answer there. Okay. Good. Okay. So now I'm going to move on and then go on to number 8.2 if you finished. I'm going to do 8.1 here on the side.
Can I please run the poll right now?
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So I'm gonna run the poll. Please just answer it however you feel like. Thank you.
Good, well done. Zukanye, Kelebohile, Ignason, Namhla, Tamia, Mawazi. Yes, good. Everybody's getting the same answer with the first one. Good stuff, guys. Well done. Nice. Okay, so you can, that's 3 easy marks. All right, so that means, and I'll show you here, what they do is they give you a mark for subbing into the right formula. There has to be a mark for the answer. And my guess in this case here is that it would be on the 7 as well, just putting that in the right place. Okay, so 3 easy marks. All right, turn your attention to 8.2. This is what we've been doing this lesson. How many years is it going to take? Okay, Neosibirko is giving you a negative answer. It shouldn't be. Yeah, so quarterly is divide by 4 for the interest rate and times by 4 for N. Okay, so you should have had that. Okay, so the first thing that you have to do is divide by 75,000 on both sides. You cannot round off, okay? So I know this is a bit of a long number, but we've got to keep this number. Okay, 0, 0, 4, 6, 6, 6, 7. We're not allowed to round that off, okay? And then inside the bracket, don't know about the rest of you, but the number that I'm getting is 1,017. Okay, so that means that 4n equals log base is your 1,017, and then our other number here, goodness gracious me, 1,5500. I'm not allowed to round that off. Okay, so now let's go ahead and go and work this out. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting 4n equals 25,99999,67 at the end. So now I'm going to divide by 4, and n is equal to 6,49 recurring. So that would be 6.5. Okay, so that would be 6 years and 6 months. Okay, if you want to write that.